Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from this month's sponsor, Ethico.
If you're a compliance officer, middle managers are crucial in getting your programs from you to your frontline employees. But how do we activate those managers and get them on our side? Ethico's new Middle Manager Toolkit equips you with the skills needed to empower your managers, to promote a culture where ethical behavior thrives and employees feel empowered to speak up. Learn how to turn frontline managers into ethical leaders with our new white paper, Empowering Middle Managers as Ethics Champions. And did I mention you can get the whole toolkit for free? Head to ethico.com to download the full toolkit today.
Also, if you are looking for something new and different for the upcoming Compliance Week celebration in November, check out The Compliance Kids. It's my 3-book children's series on compliance and compliance professionals for children. But they make great gifts and great training tools for your employees. You can check it out on Amazon.com. We've linked to it in the show notes. The Daily Compliance News for November 26, 2024, the Long Arm of the Law edition. And we begin with that story from Bloomberg, as the Gottman-Adani case will test the long arm of U.S. jurisdiction. Bloomberg believes that U.S. prosecutors will face a steep legal and diplomatic hurdle in their bid to convict and then imprison Gottman-Adani for allegedly helping plot bribes of more than $250 million to the Indian government. Of course, this will only be compounded by the incoming Trump administration, and we'll see if a propitious campaign donation impacts the FCPA enforcement action. Next up, was it fraud or was it something else? As Macy's has said, an employee, quote, intentionally, end quote, misstated and hid up to $154 million in delivery expenses over the past few years, forcing the company to delay its much-anticipated earning report. The shares of stock fell 8%. Macy's has a huge amount of delivery expenses, $4.36 billion annually, and over a 3-year period. And this employee had $154 million in cost, unknown cost at this point, into those charges. Next up, BBC reports that a fraud investigation has been launched into suspected bribery and corruption at the UK aviation and defense firm Thales. Authorities in both the United Kingdom and France said they were carrying out a joint probe into the company, one of the government's key defense contractors. It comes after police in France, the Netherlands, and Spain searched the company's office. The Thales UK, which has its headquarters in Berkshire, employs more than 7,000 people, and investigators from the Serious Fraud Office and from the French authority PNF are conducting the investigation. Next, our final story, is about corporate culture, and it's how Southwest Airlines lost its groove, as reported by the New York Times. And it shows how slowly but surely, through a series of missteps, Southwest Airlines has lost its incredibly valuable corporate culture, which led it to be one of the nation's top airlines for many years. Let's hope Southwest gets its groove back. As I mentioned at the start of this podcast, the sponsor for the entire Compliance Podcast Network is Ethico. Well, Ethico has a great new offering this month for you, a toolkit for middle managers. This is something that you, as the compliance professional, can use to move your compliance program forward by giving middle managers the skills necessary to answer a call for speak up, or when someone comes in their office and raises a concern. I can't think of a tool that will be more valuable for you in the current era of enforcement. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.